Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Danny Fry. I wish I'd become a professional golfer, but I didn't. I spent the last 20 years frying my brain. The only good thing to come out of this is I have stories, many true, funny stories, and I want to share these stories with you every single Friday.
Danny Fridays.
In today's video, I want to tell you about the time my housemate wanted me dead. Yeah, looking back, this wasn't the best time of my life. It was the second year of university, and the guy I was supposed to be moving in with dropped out last minute, but he said, don't worry, I've got a cousin who needs a place. He's alright, he's just a little bit annoying. A little bit annoying. That's got to go down as the understatement of the century. The guy was a f***ing lunatic. Now, for all I know, he's still out there somewhere, lurking in the woods, waiting to pounce. So for the sake of this video, I'm not going to use his real name. I'm going to call him Jim. Now, the first time I realised there was something seriously wrong with Jim was when I got back from uni to find him beating the absolute crap out of the kitchen. He picked up the bin and threw it across the room. Plates and cutlery were flying everywhere. Frozen sausages were flinging through the air. I said, what the f*** are you doing, Jim? He said, somebody ate my ham. Now, I get it. It is frustrating when somebody eats your ham. Somebody ate my ham once, but I didn't smash the crap out of the kitchen. Instead, I asked politely, excuse me, mate, next time, can you please buy your own ham? No frozen sausages had to fly through the air. So yeah, that was only the second day of living with Jim, and I was already thinking he was a bit of a but I thought everybody deserves a second chance, so I decided to forget the whole kitchen thing and move on. The next day, when I get back from uni, I hear a voice coming from the shadows under the stairs.
I know what you're doing.
I said, do you? Because I don't. Do you mind telling me? Because I'm torn between taking a and making a cup of tea.
Don't play silly buggers with me. You are blocking me out of the internet.
Blocking him out of the internet? How does one even block one out of the internet? Even if I wanted to block him out of the internet, I wouldn't know how to do it. Virgin Media was down. My internet wasn't working either. So I told him this and he said,
do you really think I'm that stupid?
In my head I was thinking yes, but like was I going to say yes when he was looking at me like that? So I said, no Jim, I don't think you're stupid, but I think you do need to understand that I am not blocking you out of the internet. But he didn't believe me, so he whacked out his great big massive 15-inch kitchen knife. Which, by the way, he kept in his bed. Call me old-fashioned, but if you're sleeping with a kitchen knife, something ain't right. He just stood there, looking at me, holding the knife. He didn't say anything, but he didn't have to. The message was clear. If the internet didn't go back on soon, I was getting stabbed. So I was straight on the phone to Virgin Media. I was like, listen here, you've got to get the internet back on right now, otherwise I'm going to die. They must have thought, f***ing hell, this geezer's desperate for a wank. Luckily, they said they were aware of the problem and the internet would be back on soon, but I didn't leave my room until it was definitely back on because I didn't fancy getting a stab. What was that? Like I'm milking me tits. Anyway, so yeah, finally the internet came back on and Jim didn't want to stab me for now, but life was never the same again. I was always on edge, always thinking about Jim's great big massive 15-inch kitchen knife. Jim thought everything was about him. I had some mates over to watch the football and I thought I'd invite Jim in to try and build some sort of friendship, but it backfired spectacularly. Spectacularly? Spectacularly. For a YouTuber, my vocabulary is but anyway, you know what I mean. It backfired a lot, that'll do. I've got an itchy back. I need a back scratcher. Subscribe so I can afford a back scratcher. Anyway, after the football had finished and my mates had gone, Jim turned to me and said, I know you were using code disguised as football talk to take the piss out of me. I said, what are you talking about, Jim? He said, when you said, what a goal, you actually meant Jim is a massive twat. I said, no, Jim, when I said what a goal, I meant what a goal because it was what a goal. It's what I do when there's a goal. I go, what a goal. Goal! Every football fan does the same. Even if it's a tap-in, you go, what a goal. Kick it in the goal. Great goal. Goal! None of that means Jim's a twat. But also, in my head, I was thinking Jim is a twat. But he didn't know that because I didn't say it. Jim, if I was going to say Jim is a twat, I would say it like this. Jim, you are a twat. All of a sudden, his great big massive 15-inch kitchen knife appears again. I had to put a lock on my bedroom door. I could barely sleep a wink. All I could think about was Jim's great big 15-inch kitchen knife spanking me in the spleen. Spanking me? I meant stabbing. Imagine getting spanked with a knife. You're doing it wrong, mate. Try it like that. The next thing he did may well be my favourite psycho thing he did ever. Favourite psycho thing? I'm not sure favourite is the right word. More like what the actual thing he did ever.
He said, hello boys, I just want to run this past you first. I've had enough of my gerbil. I'm going to flush it down the bog.
I said, you what, mate? He said,
Yeah, I don't want it anymore, so I'm just going to flush it down the bog.
I said, if you don't want your gerbil anymore, Jim, just take it back to the pet shop.
No, that's far too much hassle. I'm just going to flush it down the bog.
So the next thing I know, I'm saving a gerbil from being flushed down the bog. Once I'd saved the poor little bugger's life, he grabbed it off me and said,
Fine, I'll look after it then.
but I didn't believe him, so for the next week I was on gerbil watch. Gerbil? Gerbil. How the do you say gerbil? I'll try that bit again. But I didn't believe him, so for the next week I was on gerbil watch. Why couldn't he have a rat? I could say rat. I need to go back to school, because I can't even say f***ing gerbil. Anyway, sidetrack, back to the story. Every day I would have a little peek in his room to make sure the gerbil was still there. Everything was fine for a while, until one day I noticed the gerbil's tail had been cut off. Jim, what the hell happened to your gerbil?
Its tail fell off.
Now, I'm no f***ing vet, but bits of animals do not just fall off. You ever been to a zoo and seen a giraffe's head just fall off? No, you haven't, have you? So I said, shut up, Jim, it didn't just fall off, you cut it off with your great big massive 15-inch kitchen knife.
How dare you make such an accusation?
A few days later and the gerbil was gone, but I didn't ask any questions because I may not have a tail, but I do have a penis. The next day I was sitting on my phone when a message pinged up from Jim. It said, I will not tolerate racism. I thought, great, finally, something we can agree on, but no, apparently it was me being the racist. I was like... He then said, when I get home, we are going on a walk. Confused as I went to go and talk to my other housemate to ask him if he knew anything about why Jim was accusing me of being racist, and he said, oh no, sorry mate, this may have had something to do with me. He said, when you were out, you left your Facebook logged on, so I made a few little changes. I put that you worked in a biscuit factory, that you were interested in men, and that you lived in Sweden. I said, okay, fair enough, but that still doesn't explain why Jim thinks I'm being racist. Now, just for the record, Jim is Danish, but changing my Facebook to say I live in Sweden is not a racist attack on Jim, who is Danish.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Do you agree with me here, or am I missing something entirely? Denmark and Sweden are different countries. They ain't got no beef, and also, why did Jim think this had anything to do with him? So I wrote Jim a message. Hello Jim, there seems to have been a little bit of a mix-up. Sweden has nothing to do with Denmark. The freight that I received was not aimed at you. Also, I didn't do it. He said, that's no excuse. Yeah, it is, Jim. It's the best excuse ever because...
I didn't do it. We're going on a walk.
I don't want to go on a walk. Next thing I know, I'm on a walk and he's going absolutely mental. He's walking along like this.
Come on then, you racist, put them up.
I'm not fighting you, Jim. I haven't been racist. You Danish. If I said that, that would have been racist, but I didn't say that, did I? My mate freight me to say I lived in Sweden. How is that racist? Everything's racist these days. I'm scared to call a worm a f***ing worm in case the worm calls me racist. I'm not a wormophobic. You are.
Put them up, or I'm gonna f*** you up.
Calm down, you crazy bastard. And what he said next may well go down as the most twisted medieval thing anyone has ever said to me ever.
I want your head on a spike.
Wasn't sure if it was Jim or Vlad the f***ing Impaler. All of a sudden I've lost it. I've said, listen here Jim, I've had enough of your paranoid frozen sausage gerbil down the bog bullshit. You're a f***ing yourself with a power tool and never talk to me again. Woo! That one took it out of me. Ha ha! It's hard work being Danny's bride. Anyway, sidetrack, back to the story. I then ran home, but he was already there waiting for me with his great big massive 15-inch kitchen knife. He took a shortcut, didn't he? So I turned around and ran out the door, went on another walk, didn't I? Because I didn't fancy my head being on a spike. I had to talk to the university to get special accommodation because I was scared for my safety. I never saw Jim again after that day, and as you can see, my head is still attached to my neck, but I know Jim is still out there somewhere waiting, so every day I think to myself, is today the day that Jim returns to finish what he never managed to finish and cut off my with his great big massive 15-inch kitchen knife. If there's any university students watching this, learn from this. Make sure you don't move in with a nutter, move in with a friend, because it's not fun thinking you're going to get stabbed every day. That's not what university's meant to be about. But I tried it, didn't I? Of course I did. Thank you for watching, guys, unless of course you're Jim, in which case go f*** yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, leave a comment, subscribe, fondle my bell, because I make comedy every single Friday.
Danny Fridays.
Also, follow me on my other socials, links in the description, because I make comedy on there too. Lots of love, guys. See you next Danny Friday.